Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Murk back here for some more Draft League content, and to date we have my GPC Season 7 Week 4 live team builder, and this week we are going to be taking on whom I originally thought was going to be Chris, but it turns out that we are taking on a very old acquaintance, Matt, coach of the Philadelphia Focus Miss. So Chris has decided to distance himself from Mons, which I totally respect, and because of that, he is kind of dropping out of a lot of leagues and just kind of focusing on real life, which is all cool and stuff. So what Chris is leaving Matt, who, if you remember back in our first season in the GPC, back in Season 3, we took on Matt, and we were the only person to beat Matt in the regular season before Bob again took him. Before Bob was the other one that was able to take him down in playoffs. So I know Matt does have some promise. I do not know, however, if he has played draft since that point. I honestly just don't know. I'm going to prep and assume. I'm not going to be lazy with this prep. I'm going to assume that he is on his game, and because of that, I will definitely be prepping seriously. So the team that Matt inherited from Chris is very scary. The team is 3-0 with a better differential than I have, but definitely we can turn the tides a little bit with this game, and I definitely want to win this one because Yost is right on my tail, and if I drop a game, then I'll be further out from both Matt's team, and I think we'll be tied or slightly behind Yost, so those are definitely things I have to look out for. But anyways, that's 2 minutes of rambling in. The team that we're taking on is Z Latias, Celesteela, Crocodile, Halucha, Dragalge, Vaporeon, Thundurus Therian, Tangela, Diancie, Golurk, and Mega Pidgeot. So the very first thing that is notable about his team is how ice weak it is. Latias, Crook, Halucha, Drag, Thundy, Tangela, Golurk, Pidgeot, all weak to ice. So that is definitely something that we have to look at, and I do have an ice type. Oh, and it is worth mentioning that I did make a roster transaction and I dropped Drampa for Meloetta. Reason being, it gave me a better speed tier and it just gave me a better mon. Unfortunately, having Drampa is cool, but I do best when I don't have a dragon type, and that's about it. And Meloetta is just a very, very good mon. So let's start looking at this. Immediately, Celesteela looks super annoying. Holy shit. Yeah, Celis looks very annoying because it should be able to take hits from my Lando. It can potentially take hits from my Torn, which I don't know why it doesn't say Z on here, but these are my Z guys. Celis could be very annoying. Looking at an autotomized set, it could definitely be a threat, but just kind of based on what my team looks like, a special set is it's most likely going to be the direction in which he goes. Some things to look at right away. Gravity Lando looks really strong in this game since all of his things that would check me float, so that's a thing. Thundy T is speed tying with me, and I think in this game I might just want to mess with the tie. I'm not sure though. He's not Z Thundy, which is very good. Stuff like AV, just like my regen core of Pex Tangrowth, looks pretty promising in this one because I should be able to take on pretty much his entire team. Given how offensive his team is, Heracross can't do the most possible amount of work. However, I can't imagine that he's going to bring every single flying type he has, but at the same time, Heracross is a very powerful mon. His entire defensive core just gets shredded by it, so if we look at it like this, Heracross kills everything so that mons like Froslass can just kind of go in something like Scarf Froslass could definitely be an option. Yeah, Scarflass would actually be really, really nice in this matchup because we nip like Scarf Crook in the bud. I think we outspeed Autotomize Selly, so that's a big thing. Alright, I don't know why there's a bishop there. I think I want to try and build this team with Choice Scarf Froslass in mind, just because of how powerful it is against him. I could go Trick Scarf, and I do like the idea of Trick Scarf, because all the coverage, like, just because of how his team is, Ice and Electric is really all I need in this game. So I can go Ice Beam, Thunderbolt, and that's, I mean, I'm not doing any damage to Celis, just because it's so fat and stupid. Like, okay, that's Icy Wind, but Thunderbolt, it's not doing relevant damage. So I like the idea of Froslass as a Revenger and Cleaner. And just because of how weak his team is to spikes, we're just going to toss it on there. And I'm in between Trick, Debond, and like Willow, or even Blizzard. The reason I would want Blizzard, let's just see, versus Mega Pidgeot. Ice Beam. Ice Beam does knock it out after rocks, but it doesn't kill it immediately, whereas if I had Blizzard, I immediately knock it out, and because of its ability No Guard, then I don't have to worry about that. So that's definitely something I'm going to keep in mind, and if I really just need to spam Blizzard to win the game, and I just have to do that, then I guess that's what we'll have to do. So that's promising. Something like a Calm Mind Z Latias is really threatening to this team. That's actually obscenely threatening. However, it's pretty common knowledge in OU that one of the best ways to, or one of the things that best deals with the fat Celis sets is Tangrowth, just because it can get rid of leftovers and it doesn't get leech seeded. So I want to bring that, and Vestang gives me a pivot to a ton of his team. It lets me come into Thundy, it lets me take one from the drag. I can still take hits well from Crook, take anything from Celis, take stuff from the Latias, though we definitely need to have ways to hit that thing up for a lot of damage. Latias is looking like a pretty big problem. Alright, let's just kind of look at this speed tiers for a second. So Chris drafted him a pretty decent team. His speed tiers are very good all the way through 92, and then it completely drops off the table. So all of his Pokemons are really slow, which is good because that means I can run Adamant Heracross, which I think is going to be my wall breaker of choice in this game. So Heracross, Mega. What's his poison type? He has Dragalge, which is a good poison type, so I don't know if I will want to be running, if I'll want to run the T-Spikes, but it's definitely an option, though it's not hindering a ton. Like, the biggest stops to my he has a lot of things that float, and the biggest stoppage to my team is Celis, so that's definitely a problem. Stunfisk looks, actually, yeah, Stunfisk looks very nice in this matchup, because it takes on the Thunderous, it takes on, gives me another check to Celesteela, as well as Mega Pidge, and I can even do stuff like Toxic the Latias, so we're finally going to bring Stunfisk after 4 weeks, and this gives me a Stealth Rocker, which is really, really nice. So I think we want Stealth Rock, we want Toxic, those are two big ones, and then we could just go with, obviously we need a way to hit the Thunderous if we want to check it. So we could go like Discharge and Rock Slide. potentially. We could run, yeah, that's definitely an option. Eerie Impulse, that sounds like a cool move. Well, I definitely want Toxic and Stealth Rocks on it. Kind of thinking about it, since he's Agility Thund, he can't, or since he's non-Z Thund, he really can't break through this as long as I keep it healthy, just because he doesn't have access to stuff like Z Focus Blast, which can muscle through, or Z Grass Knot, which is a really strong grass attack, because Grass Knot doesn't do damage to, it does not do very much to the Fisk. So Tangrowth Fisk looks like a fairly solid defensive core against him. And then Heracross, if he brings a bulkier team, which Matt definitely, I remember from back in the day, Matt does like his bulk, so if he does go along that line, we can punish him. Can still do the Gravity Lando thing, though stuff like, I think Vaporeon actually takes hits from me pretty well. Let's just look. Vaporeon. If he's Fizz Def Bold, then he, yeah, like, look at that. That Earth Power does not do enough. Even if we have Rock and Spike, then that could be a thing. However, we could run a physical set, because we can. And if he was running a specially defensive Vaporeon, Earthquake will completely destroy that thing, which would be neat. Though the downsides to physical are, I guess like the only things that would really wall physical more would be stuff like Tangela, which I'm not, I have a Mega Heracross, so I'm not especially fearing that. We have a Landorus, which does significant work against my opponent's team. Running like a Double Dance set like Gravity Rock Polish could be very good. And then we have Earthquake, which just nails everything. And then past that, all we'd really need is like Rock Slide or Knockoff to hit stuff on his team. So it's definitely a road to think about. Right, and Torn's a decent mon in this game. Torn's a pretty decent mon in this one. I kind of like the looks of Z Heatwave, just because that would soften up Celis quite a bit. And having a way to hit the Thundy pretty hard is cool, and outspeeding that and outspeeding the Latias and just getting rid of items and stuff is pretty nice. We have Froslass, which can revenge Pidge, and we have Fisk, which can come into it. Let's kind of look at the other options we have against him. I don't love Ninetales just because Vaporeon can still wall us with just because of how bulky it is. And he has stuff like Hawlucha, Latias, and Pidge and Thundy, which can all revenge me. I think the matchup's just a little too offensive for him for me to want to bring that. Comfy, because he has mons like Celis, and because he has mons like potentially, well, Taunt Calm Mind would beat that, but Celesteela is a complete hard counter to Comfy, so that's worth considering. Celis is just kind of the big thing sitting in front of my team. Like his normal, well, he's got a couple low tier normal resists, so like Specs Meloetta is not like the most perfect thing, but it's definitely a consideration. So with this, Discharge is always just a good move to have to be able to get that cheese rolling in your favor. Discharge and Golurk could be an annoying mon to this team, though we have Heracross, which can deal with it pretty well. so that shouldn't be my biggest concern. But Volibee, what could Volibee do for me? I think Volibee's a little bit too fodder to like Celis and Thundy, and the main thing that I'd try to check with it would be like Crocodile, and it's knocking me off anyways, and I have Tang anyways, which can deal with that even if I lose my vest. Yeah, I definitely like the looks of AV Tangrowth in this game. So we've got two sets of hazards. We've got a Choice Scarf Mon, which can definitely win late. We have a Breaker. What else do we want? So I'm thinking Lando and Torn are both very good options. So let's go with Lando, Torn, and both two things that are heavily worth considering. Toxapex is another mon is worth considering, but I don't like it as much because it lets some things in, like Latias comes in, Thundy comes in, Celis can just kind of leech seed against me, so I don't love that. And if he's some annoying subset, then that makes it really annoying makes it really hard to deal with. Tangrowth we already have. Bronzong. Bronzong is something that I could bring, but I just don't think it's as good as my genies in this one. Comfy, I don't really think is worth it. This one, Meloetta could be decent, but I'd want to run Specs, but he has like Hawlucha and Crook, which make me want to run. Well, I could run a really bulky Specs, so that's an option. Or, I don't know. It gives me another way to keep the Thundurus in check since Meloetta is so specially bulky. So, yeah, that could be an option. Like a CM one would be really nice to better deal with quite a bit of his team, actually. Yeah, that could be good, because I have two really good Crook checks, and like I just I'm struggling with what I want, because like Lando's always got a matchup because it's Lando, but I'm not really feeling it this game. Like, he's got the Pidge, which can outspeed me and have HP Ice. He has Ice Beam Latias. He could be Scarf Latias to check that. I'm risking Speed Ties and Chardy Berry on Thundurus, which I don't love. And Hawlucha could hit me up with like a Power Herb Sky Attack or something like that. And I think I want to bring Tornadus and Meloetta as my last two. And yeah, Mellow. Do I want to bring like Subcalm Mind Meloetta? Because I don't know if I can fit the coverage, because I need Psyshock and T-Bolt. Psyshock, T-Bolt, and then I need Hyper Voice. So I might just run CM3 attacks. But what like a bulky leftovers CM set offers me is a way to keep stuff like is a way to deal with Thundurus, as a way to better take down the Celesteela, because it's not wearing me down so much, and yeah, that sort of thing. So I really like Meloetta, so I think we can do it. And I'm gonna run Psyshock in this one because I think if he brings Vaporeon, it will be specially defensive, in which case Psyshock at +1 should do quite a bit. Meloetta, because I can run Modest Mellow in this game very easily, and I'm going to be running a lot of bulk on this thing. And as you see, at +1, Hyper Voice doesn't do a lot, but Thunderbolt 2-hit KOs, and this should be the moneymaker. Psyshock destroys this thing. Yeah, that's what I do like. One thing to consider is that, well, we're working towards Scarfed Froslass winning this game. That's what I've decided to go around. We should have offensive checks to everything with this build in mind, We've got Thunderbolt, which should hit the Celis for quite a bit. Celesteela, like at +1 T-Bolt is doing quite a bit, though after Lefty's Leech Seed, it's probably not getting as much. So knocking off the Celesteela, if possible, is going to be a pretty big priority for me. But T-Bolt still chunks this thing. Heavy Slam obviously is going to do a lot, but we're going to be running some bulk on this thing, rest assured. Calm Mind. Does it get Trick Room? It does, though I don't want to run that in this game. Psyshock T-Bolt. Psyshock T-Bolt. Overall, like his, I'll get out of Discord. His normal switch-ins aren't fantastic. Like, he has pretty few things that deal with it. Like, Diance's not that good, and I beat Diancie with Tangrowth, and I beat it with, or I check it with Fisk, and I can weaken into range of Heracross. So we're gonna definitely more offensive looking approach this week. We've got 2 breakers. I'm gonna be running a more cleaning type Torn. Yeah, having Torn is really nice so that we immediately threaten that Hawlucha. And he doesn't have a Tapu, so that he can't get the auto unburden with his Lucha, which is really nice. So Hyper Voice. Alright, let's get to it. Discharge. I'm thinking. Fisk has kind of bad 4-move slot in this game. I'm wondering if Toxic is extremely necessary. Like, in this game, Stealth Rocks are extremely necessary in my opinion. But how mandatory is the Toxic? The reason I want Toxic, though, is... yeah, I do need Toxic. It's for... it gives me another way to deal with the Latias. Okay, so... let's just take a quick run through Froslass's move pool, just in case we're missing something. It gets Sucker Punch, which is interesting. I also know it gets Ice Shard, and it has 80 attack, which isn't horrid. Wait a second. This is a move that I could use. I like this. The reason I'm looking at Frost Breath is in the case that he has stuff like a Calm Minding Latias, this lets me hit through it, which is really big. And if he has like a beast boosted Celesteela, I can crit through it with Frost Breath so that it's doing as much damage as I can. So I'm just curious versus Latias. I don't know if we'll bring an offensive or bulky set, but Frost Breath. But as you can see, Frost Breath is a 2-hit KO on Latias. Obviously, if he's bulkier, then that's a problem. I think no, I have to run Timid Scarf just to respect that he could be Scarf Thunderous as well. But I like Frost Breath just as a way, as a backup to hit the Latias so that we put it in range of like Torn or something like that. And so that if we already have it Toxic, it can't stall us out, or it can't do anything to us. So I think we're going to roll with that tech. And just because we also should just respect the potential Scarf Lottie that we could speed tie with, and just because there's no real reason to run extra bulk on Froslass, we will be running just max. So with Tangrowth, I want Assault Vest, and I want Knockoff. Do I get Stone Edge? I do not. What's the hardest move that I can hit Pidgeot with? Because I don't want that thing coming in for absolute free. I was hoping I got Stone Edge, but it only gets Rock Slide. Rock Tomb could be interesting. Rock Tomb would be really interesting for team support, because after a tomb, then I kind of like that, because it takes away a little bit of my predictions, because that frees me up a little bit so that stuff like Torn can always outspeed. Potentially Meloetta can outrun it if I, depending. Yeah, that could be interesting. So we got knockoff is very essential. Also for the Thunderous, yeah, I kind of like Rock Tomb. Just so that in the case he's like Agility Thundy, then we can make it so that my Scar Froslass revenge kills. Hawlucha is a big problem to this thing, to the point where I want to run like HP Electric just as a way for so that I can hit the Hawlucha a little harder. Hawlucha, HP Ice, yeah, as you can see that does a chunk. I'd have to double Rock Tomb it to erase the, to get rid of his Unburden. Yeah, Lucha is going to be something that I really have to be wary of. Though if I knock him off, I forget if that triggers Unburden. Held on item loss. So I think what that means is that I will activate it if I get rid of his items. So that just means that I'm going to have to play it so that my Stunfisk is healthy for it. And I just have to limit his ability to switch in. And he could potentially be dissuaded to bring it, but because I have stuff like Comfy and... I'm curious, how much would a Froslass Ice Shard do to it? Ice Shard versus Hawlucha. It does 30%. Also worth noting is that a non-boosted Acrobatics won't take us out. Or if he's just... like, we can take an Acrobatics from this thing, which is pretty good. So if we can prevent it from boosting, then that's going to be what we have to do. And I think I'm going to... Man, yeah, that thing is definitely a problem, but I think we're going to roll with this kind of thing. So, HP Ice is good. Back to Tangra. The reason I'd want HP Electric potentially is to do more to... Well, first things first, if he is some sort of Z move, Knockoff just does more anyways. I'm just gonna double check that. Yeah, it just does more anyways than Hidden Power, so it's not really relevant on that. And Vercellus, Stila, it's doing the same as Knockoff, so we're chipping it, which is important, and we can 2-hit KO a sub. So I think I want to go Hidden Power Electric, just so that we have some way to hit that thing a little harder. And then lastly, Giga Drain is good as a way to just hit stuff. So we got that. Looking at his team, if he brings some stuff that's too passive, I don't need Swords Dance in this game. I don't. I'm assuming he'll bring like Air Slash, Celesteela. Probably. Well, let's look at the teams. So, Air Slash and Heavy Slam kind of deals with everything. Like, it doesn't touch the Bronzong and the Toxapex, but like, I can't. Neither of those things damage him either. SD could just be good to always force him and to do things he doesn't want. and to just kill stuff. Like, if we get an SD up versus Celis, or versus something that he can't do much to me with, then we can really bump up, or we should just be able to kill Celesteela. Like, if he's physically if he's especially defensive, then we're gonna see a really nice calc here. Oh man, that's such a nice calc. And if he's Phys-Def Bold, after rocks, a +2 CC will always knock this thing out, which is really good. And a cool thing about Heracross is that you don't need much. We need 28 minimum to knock out the Celesteela with Adamant, which is at +2. So that means at non+2, I want to be able to knock it out after rocks. $144. And just because of how this team is, would he run a Totemize against me? He's not Z. He could. What would he run though? So, a flying attack. Flying. I don't know if he'll respect the Fisk, but he might want like Flamethrower or Giga Drain for that. And then, like, nothing really just does anything to Pex. Like, I can infinitely wall him with Toxapex. And if he's an offensive set, then we just send it packing with close combat. It's not worth, I don't think it's really worth investing any more than what we got. So obviously close combat. And the nice thing about sub potentially is that I also like Bullet Seed for that matter, because Golurk could potentially be a switch in, and Golurk does look annoying for this team. Let's look. How much does Golurk take? That's if he's 0. Holy shit. Yeah, so I don't think we need Bullet Seed in that case. We could run like sub SD, which would be, he has the Dragalge though, that is true. Dragalge, max HP set, close combat at +2, guaranteed knockout after a spike and a rock, 93.8% chance after rocks with this spread. However, I don't have switch-ins to that thing, so as much as I'd like, it's tough because I really do want sub, and I also want Swords Dance. But if I was to put the two side by side, I think just because he has so many things that can revenge kill me, I think I'm gonna go with sub 3 attacks. Because this way we can also potentially do stuff like dodge a Draco Meteor from his Dragalge, and then we can hit it up with a Rock Blast. And the only reason I'm running this is because Pin Missile can do enough to stuff like Golurk, and we have the Tangrowth, which can come in against it, potentially Torn, and Lurk doesn't do anything against me unless unless he is a Power Herb Fly set, in which case that's some pretty fire. That's like a serious heater right there. Also, another good thing about Scarflass is that we outspeed Rock Polish Golurk. I'm very confident we do. Let's just, for fun, let's see. But Golurk, Jolly 229. 229 times 2 is 458. You can't see it, but it hits 458. So 459 divided by 1.5 is 306, and we're easily at 306. So yeah, that's just one thing to look at. And yeah, sub is good on Heracross so that he can't immediately revenge me with stuff like the Pidge and the Crook, or well, not really the Crook as much, but like Thundy, Latias, Hawlucha. Also, yeah, Rock Blast is really good to hit stuff like Hawlucha. Okay, let's look at speed. Celesteela, I feel like he'd want to be modest if he was going to be offensive. So let's creep on modest max. 221. So I'd hit 144 with that as well, giving me quite a bit of bulk, which is really good, because bulk is always appreciated on a mon like this. And I could deck out my Heracross with like special defense to take a hit from the Latias, but that's not so necessary because I have Tangrowth and Torn and Meloetta, which can all take one. So that's a thing. So we're gonna run a lot of HP. I like the look of that, yeah. Toxic Discharge. I just had a thought. Potentially Thunder Wave here could be cool. It'd be there for the Latias, but Toxicking that thing is pretty much just as good. And I'm gonna run Rock Slide as my... I don't know what that word was, but it certainly was not the word slide. Rock Slide is a way to chip on the Thundy mainly, just so it can't just so we can do something against it. Okay, so we've got pretty much everything figured out. Now with Tornadus, let's look at it. So Celis and Vaporeon are the two big things that can come in against us. I'm pretty tempted not to run max speed, though because he has Hawlucha, I might just have to do that anyways. Let's just take a quick look at our guy's move pool, because that's always just a good thing to do to bring up any ideas that you might not have been thinking about. Ooh. I'm sorry, once again, I'm just kind of thinking in silence. Roleplay is what I was looking at there, because that would be really cool. Like, that would be very, very cool. What I'm thinking about, potentially, is Z Icy Wind, though at the same time, I think Z Heat Wave could also just be as good. So let's run some calcs. Tornadus, Therian. Because a Z Heat Wave is doing... Well, it's obviously... It still bounces off Celesteela because it's stupidly bulky. And that's not even if he's full Spadef. Yeah, like Heat Wave... My god, that thing is just so dumb. It's so bulky. I actually really like how useful Taunt could be in this game. Taunt could be a very nice weapon. And what are his ways? Diancie is his best switch in. Aside from that, what takes Hurricane Heat Wave? Because we Hurricane the Pidgeot freely, we Hurricane Hawlucha, we Hurricane Latias, obviously we have to rely on that move. We can Z Heatwave Thundy, we can Hurricane Crook, we can Heatwave Celis. We can't really touch Vaporeon, but we can taunt it. And yeah, so I think I want to run Firium with Taunt, Heatwave, Hurricane. I just thought of something really cool. If for a number of reasons, there's a couple of really cool ones here. I'm going to run. I want to try roleplay. Now, what roleplay does, if you don't know, is it copies your opponent's ability. So a few cool things we can do is we can wall Thundurus by becoming immune to its electric moves. We could potentially steal Pidgeot's No Guard so we can spam Hurricane freer. We can steal Crocodile's Intimidate and drop its attack, letting us come in with something else. We can take Celesteel's Beast Boost. We can take Water Absorb from Vaporeon, and if he's running like a full Cleric set, he can't touch us. Aside from that, that's about it. Like potentially taking adaptability, but which would be kind of neat, but I don't know if we want to do that. So just because we have the option to, I want to try and pack a little heat in here. So that is we've got the build, it looks like. So now what I want to do is get onto the schematics of all this stuff. So I really just want to run max Tang, but let's just look at stuff so that we can be certain. Thundurus. If he is... Let's take a quick look at what kind of coverage he would have with Thundy. So, he wants HP Ice, he wants an electric move, which means that he most likely wouldn't have a way that one-shots my Heracross, which is really good. Like, Bolt Beam does just it does just beat my team, but at the same time, Hidden Power Ice is not doing much to the Fisk, and it's not doing much to Tangrowth. And he knows that Heracross can take one. So he could be rocking Sludge Wave or Psychic. He could be a 4-tack set. There's a couple things he could be there. I think we just kind of have to be max though, because like the hits we're taking from Crook, we naturally just chew anyways, so I don't think that's important. And having a way to take things as best as we can from the Lottie is important. So that's a thing. Alright, so that means we have half of our EV sets done. Now it's Stunfisk. I feel like I want to be able to take a +2 high jump kick with my Stunfisk. It hurts. That very much hurts. But I need to be able to take one after rocks, because he doesn't have spikes on his team. No. I just gotta take one so that I can discharge it, because it will never have the I will never give this thing the opportunity to set up for free. So what if we were at 0? We need to hit 261. Okay, which is 136 bold. But I betcha that we can further optimize this. So we can just run, yeah, max HP, 136 bold. Which leaves us with 120 special defense, which will be good for Pidgeot. However, how much special defense can we get if we're running Calm? And we go for that 261. So, well, it'd be Sassy. So we're going for 264 and 261. We'll have a couple more points, I'm assuming. 261. Yep, 265. Exactly 1 point more. So, always fun just doing that. Obviously, it's 1 point, so it doesn't make a big difference, but you never know. Tornadus, I just gotta run maxed so that I can deal with that Pidgeot if I need to. Like, I normally don't like speed ties, but he also has the Hawlucha right there, and I keep getting nipped in the butt because I am being a little overzealous with my creeps. So we're just gonna play it safe for this one. Like, I don't know if Matt's gonna be smart. I'm assuming he'll at least speed creep, but alas, we'll just play it safe for this because I think we have the team on its own, and just the few extra points with Torn aren't really going to help me that much. Right, so Meloetta, I want to hit the same speed tier as Heracross is hitting, 222. Oh, perfect. Meaning I can run this thing really bulky and be modest max and be running 232 HP, which is super duper good, so that we can just take hits from everything. That's nice, yeah. Okay, I really like Meloetta as that last thing, because the combination of Heracross, Torn, and Meloetta should be able to lure out and weaken things enough so that Froslass can win the game, and just his overall weakness to stuff like hazards and chipping things away, I think we can do this. Obviously having Trick would be a cool thing for like Celesteela, but I think we're going to be able to deal with it. So, last things to do. Let's go over each mon individually and make sure that everything's in place. So we're max speed, max special attack, just very basic Scarf Froslass, one of my favorite innovations from back in Gen 6 UU, or SUU to be exact. The godly Scarfed. It was Mixed Porygon Z, Scarf, Mixed PZ, Agility Life Orb Special, Basculin, and Scarf Froslass. Oh, that was a fun team. Or was that with the Banded Frost? It doesn't matter. The Banded Basculin. Whatever. So, we got this. Yeah. With Tang, we got pretty much what we have to do there. Shoggoth. Heracross. So we've got enough attack in this thing so that we are 2-hit carrying Celis, we're 2-hit carrying stuff like the Golurk with a Rock and a Spike. I can imagine pretty early on that we can force a switch with Froslass so that we can get that Spike up. Because Spike would be very, very nice to weaken stuff and just make it so that Heracross can do more. But obviously that does depend on what kind of team he brings, because if he brings all of his floating ones, then there's no point having Spikes there. But Spikes are a good addition because it's just such a it's the best entry hazard, or it's one of the best, though Rocks is definitely the best in this game in particular. Anyways, sidetracking with tangents, classic me. Bulky, enough attack to do the damage we need, and then fast for modest Celis. Right, Hockey Lizard. And hopefully we can actually get Heracross to do something, because it has failed to do anything. I don't know if I've even gotten a hit off with it yet, just because of how I've been playing it. So, yeah, I haven't even fired off an attack with my Heracross, which is shameful because when you do that, things die. Right, Fisk. What's my name for this? Oh yeah, it's Majesty. And not Magistri, Majesty. And we will make this shiny Torn, Ripped Sphincter without the N. We got a little fun set. Fire Room Z, Heatwave, then we have Taunt and Hurricane, and then Roleplay as the kind of trump card. I don't think he'll see it coming. If he does, bravo. But a Torn that can wall a Thundurus would be pretty sweet. And I want to see how much Tornadus does to Thundurus with Z Heatwave. I have a feeling it kills after rocks. We need a little chip before then, so that's okay. And Taunt's really good so that we have a way to stop stuff like Latios from either defogging or setting up. And what was my Meloetta nickname? Dang it, what was it? Oh yeah, it was that. So I think just doing one last look through, all the EVs and IVs are in place, and I think that's the team that we are gonna roll out with. So definitely looking like I don't know what to call this team, but it's based around Scar Froslass, which is always fun. And I guess CM Meloetta's a big player. And like everything's a big player. Everything always has a purpose, but we want this to win. And we can support it by using stuff like Tornadus, Meloetta, Heracross to kill things, and then we have a decent, and we have two good defensive pivots. That's what we need, pivots, with Tang and Stunfisk. Okay, so that's it. Hope y'all enjoyed. Stay tuned for the battle, and I'll see y'all later. Bye.